in other words, that being selfless self or the reality. What can a mosquito do to you? It can kill the body. You can get malaria. But whatever happens, let it happen and say that it is my choice now. You be the creator yourself and understand that I have created the world. It's like, you know, that's an interesting perspective to take, because it's like, you know, it really kind of like, whatever happens, you know, like people would say, like, you know, like, it's the will of God. It's like saying, it's my will. It really tells you something about where his mind was in terms of what he understood himself to be. You know, it's not, I mean, it's just, I am this. This is like Ramakant Maharaj would say, this is my projection, this whole thing out here. And, you know, that is, to be able to really feel and know that is real power, I tell you. It kind of like diminishes a lot of the fear, you know.
Identification with presence and not with body form.
Yeah.
And then the body world instantly disappears. Oh, it's presence, it's formless.
Yeah.
And all of this is occurring. And I'm presence, I know this. And so, formless holder of the body. and yeah, you can say, I am that. This sense of presence, that is all there is. There is no individuality. There is no form-based reality or form-based existence of any kind in reality. In the illusion and in the appearance, once I distance myself and I create the illusion of separation because of belief in being a body, then I can have the illusion of experience. I can be in this world believing myself to have experiences. But to say that the entire world is my spontaneous projection is absolutely true, because your presence, you're not this labeled thing, this lump of goo which is inside you that's labeled with your name, that at first you identified with, and now the master has told you, no, you are not body, you were not body, you are not going to remain the body. So immediately, all body-based knowledge, all body-based relations, all body-based experience is false. It's illusion, because you're not body. Then we ask the question, well, if I'm not body, then who am I? Well, that's where the meditation comes in, so that you can get in touch with your selfless self and realize, oh, so that I am that. And then still the world is going on and all these sort of things. But Siddharameshwar Maharaj said the same thing what you're just saying about the scorpion that was stinging. And it's like, okay, it's stinging the flesh. And the dog, there was one saint where this dog was a Kabur, I think it was.
Kabir, yeah.
Yeah, this dog is chewing at his leg. And he says, well, you know, this is just happening. The dog knows what he's doing. Because the dog is not, he is identified as formless presence. So he says the dog knows what he's doing. And I am not body, I was not body, I'm not going to remain the body. Of course you're going to feel pain. Dog chews on your leg, you're going to feel pain, but you're not identified with the body that's feeling this pain. You know, I'm the formless presence. These pain sensations, although I'm feeling them, I'm the formless holder of the body, and the body is an instrument which has this sensation of pain, of hot and cold, the sensory experience. But that's because I'm using this body instrument. Just like you get in your car and it starts to rain, you can have the experience of rain hitting at 80 miles an hour and not getting wet. Why? Because you're using the instrument of car. So you're using the instrument of body. The body has all these sensations. The body is the thing that's actually having the feelings, and you're the formless presence which is allowing this body to move and to feel. But it's not penetrating. It's not you. All of this form-based, body-based experience is absolutely illusion. And you know this. You can find this out for yourself. That's why Maharaj says all dry spiritual talk, all these nice spiritual speeches and spiritual discussion, this is the pointer. And when they say pointer, it's not, because a lot of times you hear in spirituality, oh, they're pointing, well, what are they pointing to? They're pointing that you are not body, you were not body, you're not going to remain the body. You are the formless presence. You can sense yourself for the first time in body form. Oh, I exist. But prior to this, you were there. You just didn't have this experience of I exist, which created this consciousness of this dream experience called world. And that's why Maharaj says, because people will say, oh, you're pointing. No, it's direct. Because it's so direct. If you understand that you are not body and you're not going to remain the body, and then like Maharaj will say, even intellectually speaking, you know you're not body, because this body goes through changes and you're witnessing them. If you were the body and that's who you were, then you wouldn't be able to witness and see these changes. The formless presence, which is using these eyes to see the body that it's using, age is not aging. And you go right to the point, the direct. Direct is formlessness. The world is not true, because the form-based existence is within the formlessness that you are. You must know this. How do you know this? Through meditation, inviting the attention of the invisible listener, the sense of presence that comes, and you can sense and remain there. And then this presence will unwind all these illusory layers, using mantra, remaining with selfless self, bhajans, shake the body pressures loose. And once you know yourself in a real sense, that's it. That's it. You just know, oh yeah, this I am.
But you still have the responsibility to take care of the body.
Of course, but you know it does. See, you're no longer identified with it as you and your life, or that you will end. It's like what Maharaj talks about the ants. The ants scurry around in horror when you pour water, because presence in the body of an ant believes that it will cease to exist if that body form that it's using to know itself dissolves or is killed. There's no killing. You're not born, you won't die. And yes, you'd still protect. If robbers came into my house and said they'll shoot me if I don't give them some money, I give them some money.
Yeah.
Most likely. But at the same time, getting shot, okay, then you're back to formlessness and you no longer experience this form-based existence. You're still there, you're just no longer experiencing. You're not experiencing yourself, and you're not experiencing the form-based existence. But you know you are. But still, yes, you would say, oh, okay, I give you money.
Yeah.
You know, spontaneous action in the moment.
In that case, there's no experiencing at all.
No. That's why Maharaj says there's no experience, no experiencer. Everything that you're experiencing is illusion brought about by the concept of being a body, which you're not. Without a body, you can't experience. So
Right.
the illusion of experience is directly connected to the belief in being a body form and seeing a world.
Right.
But you're none of those.
Mm.
You never experienced a single thing. And all of this stuff that we're so preciously holding on to is nothing.
I don't know. So, well, you get very attached to it, though.
Only because of belief in being a body. Once you know yourself in a real sense, the body and everything that comes along with it just is neighbor's child, like we said last week.
Yeah.
It's there, and I like it. It's good. As long as I have a body, I'm going to be experiencing. But if things don't go, quote, my way, because mind is sitting there identified with the body, thinking that this timeline is progressing and something needs to happen in a certain way, I don't care. And it's not even that I don't care, because to not care, there has to be a you that doesn't care. You just realize it's false.
What do you think of, just fear, for instance? Does it have a play? I mean, like fear can alert one to actually maybe jump out of the way if a car is coming.
This would be like Maharaj says, it rains, you use umbrella.
Because they use that example. Yeah, that's a good example too. They use the example of a guy, you know, like, this was way back in India many years ago. An elephant comes charging, so he runs off the road into the woods, out of the way. And one of his students says, "Well, if everything is unreal, why did you run off into the, you know, out of the way of the elephant?" And he said, "Well, because I'm just as much of an illusion. I'm part of the illusion just as much as the elephant."
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's
So basically, in the illusion, you behave according to the knowing, you know, like.
Rules of the illusion.
I'm sorry?
You play according to the rules of the illusion.
exactly.
Yeah.
Maharaj says you're an actor on the stage. Play your role well. Do your job, do your duties, do the next right thing. Be kind to your family. But if your son gets very sick, you go get medicine and such. But you understand that it's formless. There is no son. Son is a body-based relation that came along with this body, and I am not body, nor is this son a body. It's the one presence in both forms, because that's all there could be. And yet you would take care, and you'd probably still have emotion at a funeral. Oh, this is my son, he died, it's very sad. But it's not it doesn't deeply impress you. It's not something that's constantly churning in mind of thinking, oh, my son could have had such a nice life and all this. I shouldn't talk too much about this because my son actually watches these videos. He's like, oh, Dad, that's kind of mean.
Yeah.
But at the same time, my son watches these videos and understands that how, at least he understands from the perspective of the way it's seen in this body form. He understands that there's an understanding. And he respects that and knows that it's not Dad who's saying that. Within the illusion, Dad and son are very close. But in the reality, these are appearances on spontaneous presence. And neither is more important or less important because it's entire illusion based on the concept of having a body. When the presence in this body, no longer, this body cannot sustain that essence, then the experience of son and father will dissolve.
Well, that's a pretty sophisticated understanding for a young man to have.
We have chit-chats in the car sometimes. He asks questions and we chat. I told you, he said, Dad, okay, if I'm formless and I understand this, and yet I want to be a kid and live a life too, so I'm going to at least pretend to be a kid for a little while longer. I said, that's totally cool. No worries.
That's what he's here for. I mean, you know, there's a sort of incarnation, I guess, that is supposed to, who knows why it happens, but it does happen.
He's an actor in the movie of Kid.
Exactly.
Kids movie, The Little Rascals or something, you know?
Hopefully not like that.
But we do talk about, because you know, within the body-based illusion, there are spiritual concepts such as observing thoughts and, you know, observing the breath and doing meditation and these things. When you're in the illusory belief that you're a body, you can practice these illusory spiritual practices to kind of at least maintain some kind of a, not control, but some kind of a position, you know, like in the body-based illusion, you can say, you can observe thoughts. Of course, once you know yourself in a real sense, this doesn't make sense anymore. But while you're using a body, you can say, oh, your breath and your thoughts, they kind of correlate. The slower you breathe, the slower your thoughts will be. You can slow your thoughts down, and then you notice that you're the observer of, or the witness of these thoughts. While you're in the body-based illusion and using some of the body-based knowledge, these are true. And like a lot of spiritual teachers can tell you, yes, you can observe your thoughts, you can do this meditation and that. But like Maharaj says, ultimately, these are egoistic meditation because you're still believing in the body-based illusion in which you're trying to escape.
Right.
The reality, you're outside or prior to all of that. But while you still believe yourself to be a body, there are some, you know, meditation. Mantra is something that you can use where you went on this journey and you came to yourself in the form of Sri Ramakant Maharaj, who gave you a mantra. While you're believing that you're an individual or something separate, and that you're in this body-based illusion, you can use mantra as a tool. Once you know yourself in a real sense, then mantra, you understand, was inviting the attention of the invisible listener. Well, the invisible listener's here now, no need more to invite attention. Now the whole thing is to refresh your memories that I am not body, I was not body, I'm not going to remain the body. So even though you're formless and you know yourself in a real sense, you're in this form-based existence, you refresh your memories that I'm formless, this is all occurring within me, I'm not in it. Okay, then everything's nice.
Don't you think that some, parents anyway, they sort of see their children as an extension of them? You know what I mean? It's like a way to gain their sort of immortality, that, well, I got my children. And that seems like a kind of a dangerous idea.
Well, any attachment is because you believe yourself to be a body and you can be attached.
Right.
You believe yourself to be a body mind and that you can be attached to things. All attachments will dissolve the moment you know you're formless, because all of the space in the room is not attached to any of these objects.
Right.
They're all occurring within that space. And once the space identifies as space, as Maharaj says, if at all you want to compare yourself to sky or space, all these objects that are occurring within you, why would you want one? And how would you hold one? You're formless. You don't have hands to pick them up. You don't have pockets. Like Maharaj says, you come into the world, you don't have pockets. So you can't put anything in these empty pockets.
Can't take it with you.
No, of course. That's the most basic thing. Forget about all spirituality. You came into the world with nothing, you'll leave with nothing. So why bother and trouble yourself with the acquisition of things when you came in with nothing and you leave with nothing? Even if you believe in the body-based illusion that it's even a little bit true and that you might die, there's still no need to acquire. And there's definitely no need to bother your mind with the acquisition of things. This is very silly.
But the only thing I think it does do, though, is if you, let's say you're successful, you have a great life, you create all this wealth or whatever, and then you can die happy because you figure, well, I did the thing, I had the whole thing, so it's ready to go. Whereas some people might feel like, well, I didn't really accomplish everything, so it's a sense of completion, which I think is important when one is on the death.
This is imagination and speculation, because like Maharaj says, a lot of very rich people, until you're actually very, very rich, right, and leaving the body, he gives the example of the guy who had the store and he was going to die.
Ram and Shiva, right?
Exactly. Who's watching this store?
Exactly.
Oh. or who's eating this? The sheep is eating this broom. Because if you're rich, and like Jesus says, it's easier
for the camel to go
for a camel to enter into the God's kingdom.
Because the rich person,
rich man.
Yes, rich person has so much attachment to things. How? That's a struggle. That would be a struggle to leave.
Ranjit said the world is never complete. The only completion is reality. The only thing that's complete is reality.
Correct.
And he gives the example of, you eat bread and butter for breakfast, and then you want to put a little chutney on it, to give it a better taste. There's always something missing, there's always something missing. He said, but in the reality, or in, I guess, what, self to self, it's complete.
And it has to be incomplete in the illusion. It has to be. The only way to get satisfaction is to remain with your selfless self, because that is a source of bliss and joy without any material cause. Because sex, like Maharaj says, money, publicity, sex. Money, you can have all the money in the world and you still be worried. Or worse, you go into a nursing home And all this hundreds of thousands of dollars that you saved is gone within like 2 years. And you're on the little welfare card or whatever that Medicare, whatever that little card is, and that's taking care of you. All that money just evaporated and you're back to square one. And if you really desired money, that's going to be a problem. When money goes up, you're happy. When money goes down, you're not happy. When money goes really far down, you might get so depressed you kill yourself. So that's a terrible thing. Publicity, you can be on top of, that's why I love Nisargadatta Maharaj, and I always impress this. When he says, some people can say I'm a very good saint, I am not impressed. Some people say I'm a very terrible saint, I am not depressed, because I am not those things. I am not that. So publicity, if suddenly you are like on TV every day, and look at the TV stars, they kind of show us this. How many people are super, super successful one day on the cover of every magazine, and then they disappear, and you Google what happened to so-and-so? Because publicity, it's up and down. And if your happiness is tied to that, it's a problem. It's sex, even worse. You get into the addictive state where it's like, okay, now I'm happy when I'm sexually happy. And maybe I have a girlfriend, but then I want a girlfriend and another girlfriend. And then I want a wife and 2 girlfriends. And then I'm in a mess. And I lose my house because my wife doesn't appreciate my desire for so much sex. So I lose my house. I lose all of that. I'm paying 100 child supports. So again, sex, money, publicity, sex. No material cause, remaining with the selfless self. Dipping your cup into the nectar of immortality, and just, I mean, you could use this body to experience the source of all happiness and all bliss without any material cause. You can be sitting homeless on a curb and remain with your selfless self and be in just as much bliss as if you're president of the United States.
Oh, don't mention that.
Okay, as if you're Bill Gates and remaining with your selfless self. It's the same. It's absolutely the same. And that's why they talk about the dream. In the dream, you can be the beggar and wake up as a king, or be a king and wake up as a beggar. And if you know that both are not true, as Ashtavakra Gita,
Travak, yeah, I know. That's
it's very hard. It's 1,000 bends, I know that.
Yeah.
But he says, neither are true. You're neither the beggar, just like you're not the butterfly dreaming you're a man, or you're a man dreaming you're a butterfly. Neither is true. You're the formlessness in which both of these appear. This formless essence.
I think the key thing is to realize somehow that the external event, you need to unhook anything that happens in the external, in the dream, from your own happiness. Because if you are dependent, you're holding yourself hostage to external events which are constantly changing. So you're setting yourself up, for disappointment. If you demand that, okay, in order to be happy, I have to have a certain amount of money, I have to have a certain partner, I have to have a house. If you put all that stuff, you're putting yourself hostage to things that change, as opposed to what doesn't change.
And all of that is
that's why they say
formless.
That's why they say, like Ranjit used to always say, you detach, as you said, or by saying it's not true.
Yes.
And the master gives you that power, to actually change your mind, like change your way of thinking, rearrange things. Then the mind works on your behalf. It takes you there.
Yes, you are formless. Everything that's in the form-based existence is untrue. You don't have to pay attention to it. You don't have to tie your happiness to any of that. You can remain with the selfless self as the scenes come and go, knowing that you are formless. And attachment is nothing. How can you be attached to anything if you truly understand yourself in a real sense? Not going to happen.
Well, that's the key.
You're formless. So how do you not attach to anything when you feel yourself being attached? You can say what Master says and even try to hear Master saying it. You are not body. You were not body. You're not going to remain the body. Body's not your identity. Keep hammering those and accept your selfless self. There's no God, no Brahman, no Paramatman, no Master. Nothing is there. The next time you feel yourself getting caught up, recite that very quickly. I am not body. I have a desire for a new car. Okay, this desire is coming. I am not body. I was not body. I'm not going to remain the body. Now, I may still see myself walk in and to the dealership and get a car. Who knows? But I'm not attached to that.
Oh.
It's like flipping a coin. I say, okay, heads, I get a new car. Tails, I don't. I try that sometime, actually. I did that long years ago, where I would flip a coin. It would be two things that were really of no consequence. Heads, I'll have spaghetti. Tails, I'll have a steak sandwich. And it's tails, and right away I can watch my mind say, oh, I really wanted spaghetti. Because that's the illusion.
Yeah.
The mind is constantly in motion and constantly trying to present thoughts to you in form about the form-based existence to take you away from the reality, to use your attention to go chasing after things. You're not a thing. You can remind yourself that. Mantra does this very nicely. When you're sitting there and allowing this mantra to run, it's erasing all these illusory thoughts and all these wants and needs and desires. All needs, all requirements came along with the body. Guess what? You are not body, you were not body, you're not going to remain the body.
Some years ago, I recorded the bhajans in English. I read them, and usually I listen to them in Marathi. But basically, lately, when I go for a walk or something, I listen to the recordings in English, and man, they really are just so powerful. Or sometimes I'll just sit in my room and do that, and just take a devotional posture. Look at the master, the photo, and just listen to those words. Because in Marathi, I don't really know what's being said. And so every now and then it's like refreshing my mind, like what is really being said here? And it's just really, I found it to be extremely powerful for me, just to hear them in English. Unfortunately, they're not sung in English, but, when I recorded them, I just read them, slowly, and it really means a lot, what they're saying there.
Yes.
Like all of them, basically, and then, the Abhangas, they're really powerful too. Just really, really.
Very, very powerful. I read those every night because even in the Abhangas, it says, if any trouble comes to your mind, read these Abhangas. And I remember flying to India to go see Maharaj. And before I took a little nap on the plane, I read through the Abhangas, because that was a routine of, again, hammering. You're hammering your reality so that the time comes when illusion presents itself, you remain with the reality and not with the illusion. The Abhangas are very powerful. And the YouTube channel where I post these after recordings, there's many bhajans with the English translation built into them on that channel.
Mm-hmm.
So you can sit there and listen to a lot of different stuff of what it's actually saying. The guru is king. Exactly. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of it, because when I came back from India, that was something that spontaneously arose, that I wanted to take the bhajan English translation, put it with the recording that I had gotten from India, and then have it like with a nice picture of the ashram, and have all the words in English to the bhajan. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Actually, I like the Gayatri mantra, and you get a beautiful recording by Deva Pramal and Maten. It's just they do it like 108 times, the magic number, And it's just transporting, because I love the music and the rhythm and the instruments, all the, what do you call those things? The tabla. And, I love all that stuff because I went on a retreat one time. We sang every single night, and I loved those songs. They just really, and it didn't matter to me if I knew what they were or not. It was something in the energy and the language itself that I loved it. All of the Sanskrit, I can still, I memorized some of them and I can still sing them. Just like, I just, and you get recordings. There's other people like Sanatan Kaur, who does all this beautiful music, and you can go to concerts that she has, and the whole audience after, she performed, there's like no clapping because it's like not entertainment. And I really, cause everybody is so taken with all this stuff that they're just like, okay, that it's like a mystical experience. There's no, the clap would be, inappropriate. It's like if you clapped in church, I mean, she's in a concert hall, but it's the same kind of idea.
Yeah, I have those in my car actually, like Sita Ram.
Yeah.
And the
Krishna
one, those.
Do you listen?
You see, yeah, it doesn't. That's kind of truly, it's kind of funny because at first I used to listen to like really, really like hardcore gangster rap music. In 2010. And then I started going through this like spiritual, whatever you want to talk about. And I started then listening only to, because at the time I was listening to Muji, and Muji had the Sita Ram and all this stuff. And I started listening to that and I really enjoyed it. I needed it to have a little bit of a beat.
Yeah.
And some of them were like real quiet and it was like, oh, no. So it had to have a little bit of a beat.
Yeah.
But as the years progressed, that became like pretty much all of it. Now, I will say that recently, and I even labeled the playlist non-duality.
Oh.
Because I have those songs, I have bhajan, but I also have some gangster rap in there. So it will recycle. And why? Because I'm not pushing anything away. You know what I'm saying? I'm not so attached with, I need only spiritual songs. No, I might have Jay-Z, and then I have Sita Ram, and then I have Eminem, and then I have bhajan, and then after that, I might have like Snoop Dogg. And it's because I'm not pushing anything away.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to grab anything. It's just, and that's why I thought it was beautiful when I saw that I labeled it non-duality. And when I'm driving in my car now, it's like, it might, and who knows, the people who see you, they listen, maybe it's hardcore gangster rap. And if they're with you in a line or something, then suddenly it's this beautiful spiritual music. But both are the same.
Yeah.
Like there's no longer oh, I shouldn't listen to that, or oh, I need to be only devotional.
Yeah.
I am formless presence.
Right.
The entire world appears in my spontaneous presence. Without that presence, there is no world.
Right.
So why am I going to limit, or why am I going to grab or to acquire? Nothing. There is no attachment and no non-attachment.
Yeah.
And there's no attachment to being attached or non-attached.
No polarities.
Nothing. That was only this year, though. I won't say, because when I first saw Maharaj, even I only wanted to listen to bhajans and spiritual music. And the first time ever I heard another old song, I said, oh, that's not very spiritual. That was a couple years ago. Now then this year, something changed and I was like, okay, sometimes this rap and sometimes this and sometimes that. And then there's even spiritual rap. Like there are 1,000 Petal Lotus is a song by Son of Saturn. And it's like rap, but spiritual rap. So but it's open.
Yeah.
The entire world's open.
Tina Turner has a recording of a bhajan. I don't know what the name of it is, but I saw it on the, I thought, well, I'm going to listen to this. And it's all in Sanskrit and it's Tina Turner.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's great. Yeah.
Sir, last week during the satsang, what happened? For a few moments, you can say that a state, there was no mind. I'm sure that it's not imagination, okay? And I think so. After that state, again, mind was there to observe all those things. It's very blank, sir. Like very blank state. Okay, not even witness. Like generally, it appears that in awareness, thought is appearing like that, but it is much more deeper than that. I can say. So, but the truth you are speaking, but that looks very profound, sir. But the truth you point out always, no, it's constant. Okay, there is no way of coming and going. But what is this state, sir? Like, in that state, there is nothing. Mind, see, the mind coming to the picture after that. It's like,
The
it
mind
was
is always
few.
late to the party.
Sorry?
The mind always comes in afterwards because it's not in the present moment. The mind is never in the present, right?
Thoughtless state, when you witness the thoughtless state and say, oh, I'm in the thoughtless state, you create a thought.
Yeah. And now you're not mindless anymore.
And now you're not mindless anymore. Try to brush aside and remain with your selfless self. That's why Maharaj says, be with you always. Even when you're witnessing the fact that there's no thought here. I feel no body-based impressions, but you don't need to think about that. That's the reality. You become duality when you start to believe that I'm having this experience of thoughtless and spaceless and timeless, but that's your own self. You don't need to think about it or point it to yourself.
I think it's really cool because I notice the difference. As soon as the thought comes up, I'm like, oh, that's not as good. You know what I mean? There's a qualitative difference.
Yes.
Very much so. Very much so.
That's a really interesting phenomenon to notice because the awareness is noticing the difference between the blissful, beingness and all of a sudden the commentary. And it's like, shut up already.
Yes. 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 And the way, remain with yourself as self, being with you always. The thoughtless, bodiless, formlessness is an appearance, and you're witnessing it the same way as you witness the sunrise, but you don't have to talk about it. You're prior to thought. You're prior to word.
Right.
Before the words, oh, I'm thoughtless, you're that. So when you start to stir in the appearance of the formlessness and that stateless state, that's when you can look for the source of the stateless state and go deeper, deeper, deeper. This is Maharaj says too. Go deeper and deeper and deeper in your selfless self. Because once you get the stateless state, it's very beautiful. You're observing the stateless state. You observe it without commenting prior to the words, prior to the arising of the thought, because you're remaining with selfless self and you're going deeper and deeper and deeper. Then eventually you'll be so deep that when the thoughtless state appears and disappears, it won't be noticed because you're remaining with yourself.
Right.
Prior to everything. And again, you can get there very quickly. Anytime you can get with yourself, because these words are the mind blockers. The mind can't grasp this. You are not body. You were not body. You're not going to remain the body. Body's not your identity. When the mind hears those words, it says, okay, I'm something other than this. But that's not it. You're not thinking about being something other than this. You're understanding that the entire world is illusion brought about by the concept and belief in being a body. The body never was. You're formless. You're formless now. You're formless prior to taking the body, and you'll be formless after the essence, and you can no longer be sustained by the body. You're formless. You're unchanging. So that stops the mind, because the mind came along with the body, and the mind produces thoughts about the form-based existence, trying to find the formlessness, but the formlessness is. So this thought about the fact that you're experiencing formlessness is coming from the perspective of I'm a form experiencing formlessness. It's reversed in that the formlessness is experiencing the dissolving of the form, and you are formless and you're remaining, therefore nothing.
Mm.
A good place to wrap up.
Yes.
Sounds good. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you. Jai
Namaskar.
Guru.